different face, same pain. You've ended another relationship and somehow it feels like the last one all over again. The same arguments, the same distance, the same ending. You told yourself you'd never go back. But here you are, wondering if you'll ever break free from this cycle. Why do we keep repeating toxic relationship patterns, even when we know better? Why does the heart seem addicted to what hurts it most? In this episode, we'll explore the hidden psychology behind these patterns. You'll hear a story that may sound uncomfortably familiar, uncover the research that explains why it happens, and learn practical tools to finally break the cycle. A quick note before we begin. This video is inspired by real psychological research, case studies, and scientific evidence. We've simplified complex ideas into clear stories so they're easier to understand and apply. Please remember, this content is for educational purposes only. It is not therapy, medical, or professional advice. If you're dealing with serious challenges, consider speaking with a qualified mental health professional. Now, let's begin. Meet Anna. She's 32 years old. On the surface, her life looks steady. She has a good job, a circle of friends, and a bright laugh that fills any room. But when it comes to love, it's always the same heartbreak on repeat. Her last 3 partners were completely different on the surface. One was a charming musician, another a successful entrepreneur, the most recent a quiet introvert who seemed safe at first. But the pattern underneath was identical, emotionally unavailable, inconsistent with affection, hot one day and cold the next. At first, each relationship felt intoxicating. Butterflies in the stomach, sparks in every conversation, nights that felt like they belonged in a movie. But slowly the cracks appeared. Messages unanswered, promises broken, affection withheld. Anna would try harder, invest more, hoping to repair what was breaking. But the more she gave, the more distant her partners became. Each time it ended, she swore, never again. And each time she found herself back in the same place, different face, same pain. If you've ever lived Anna's story, or watched a friend live it, you know the confusion. Why do intelligent, self-aware people fall into the same trap again and again? Why does it feel impossible to escape? Psychologists have a name for this: repetition compulsion. The unconscious drive to repeat familiar experiences, even when they cause pain. But repetition alone doesn't explain the whole picture. To truly understand Anna's story, and maybe your own, we have to go deeper into childhood, into the brain's wiring, and into the way society teaches us what love should look like. The first clue lies in a theory developed by psychologist John Bowlby in the mid-20th century: attachment theory. Bowlby and later researcher Mary Ainsworth discovered that the way we bond with our caregivers in childhood creates a blueprint for how we bond with romantic partners as adults. If a child grows up with consistent love, a parent who is present, attentive, and emotionally safe, that child usually develops what's called a secure attachment. As an adult, they expect love to be stable, trustworthy, and nurturing. But if a caregiver was sometimes warm and sometimes distant, the child learns an anxious attachment. They grow up craving closeness, but never feeling sure if the love will stay. As adults, they often become the ones who text too much, worry about being abandoned, or feel restless without constant reassurance. If a caregiver was cold, dismissive, or rejecting, the child may develop an avoidant attachment. As adults, they convince themselves they don't need closeness, keeping partners at arm's length and retreating when intimacy gets too real. And for children raised in chaos, neglect, or even abuse, the result is often a disorganized attachment, a painful mix of craving love and fearing it at the same time. Now here's the cruel twist. As adults, we're not drawn to what's good for us. We're drawn to what's familiar. Anna isn't consciously choosing distant partners, but because inconsistency was part of her early blueprint for love, it feels strangely natural. Familiar, almost comfortable. It's like growing up in a house where the lights flicker on and off unpredictably. As a child, you learn to adapt to the flicker. As an adult, you walk into a well-lit room and feel uneasy. Your nervous system is waiting for the lights to fail. This is why some people consistently choose partners who hurt them. Not because they're broken, but because their nervous system has mistaken chaos for normalcy. But childhood isn't the only factor. Our brains play a cruel trick as well. Research in behavioural psychology, especially studies on reward systems, shows that unpredictable rewards are far more addictive than consistent ones. This principle explains why slot machines hook people. You pull the lever, and sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. That uncertainty floods the brain with dopamine, keeping you chasing the next reward. Toxic relationships work the same way. When affection is inconsistent, love one day, silence the next, your brain becomes addicted to the cycle. Each burst of attention feels like a jackpot. Each withdrawal keeps you craving more. This is known as intermittent reinforcement, and it's one of the most powerful psychological traps. In fact, psychologist B.F. Skinner, who studied conditioning, found that behaviours reinforced unpredictably are the hardest to extinguish. So when Anna's partner ignores her for days, then suddenly showers her with affection, her brain interprets it as proof of love. She doesn't feel manipulated, she feels hopeful, and that hope keeps her locked in the cycle. This is how trauma bonds form, emotional highs and lows that glue us to people who hurt us. Pain mistaken for passion, chaos mistaken for chemistry. Add to this another layer, our mind's tendency to rewrite stories. Humans are experts at cognitive dissonance, the uncomfortable tension we feel when our beliefs and reality don't align. To reduce that tension, we often rewrite the story instead of facing the truth. Anna tells herself, "He's just stressed, he'll change, this time will be different." These aren't lies, they're her brain's way of protecting her from the pain of admitting the relationship is toxic. Culture doesn't help. Movies, songs, and novels romanticize suffering. They tell us that true love requires sacrifice, that passion burns brightest in chaos, that persistence will eventually transform the distant partner into a soulmate. So when real life feels messy, people assume it's normal. They wait for the happy ending, not realizing they're trapped in a loop with no resolution. So how do we escape? The first step is awareness. You can't break a pattern you don't see. Start by mapping your relationship history. Write down your past partners, the qualities that drew you to them, and the way things ended. Look for common threads. If the same story appears with different faces, that's your cycle. Second, practice emotional regulation. Toxic patterns thrive on reactivity. The rush of anxiety when someone pulls away, the thrill when they come back. Learning to sit with discomfort through breathing, journaling, or therapy reduces the pull of those highs and lows. Third, build secure attachment in adulthood. This doesn't mean finding a perfect partner, it means practicing consistency in friendships, in self-care, in boundaries. When you surround yourself with stability, chaos begins to lose its appeal. Fourth, reframe what love means. Love is not adrenaline. Love is not guessing games. Love is not anxiety disguised as attraction. Love is safety, respect, and presence. Let's return to Anna. After years of heartbreak, she finally began to see the pattern. She realized she wasn't cursed. She was repeating a script written long ago. With therapy, with self-awareness, and with new choices, she slowly built a different kind of relationship. Not one fueled by chaos, but one grounded in stability. Her story isn't finished. Neither is yours. So ask yourself, where in your life do you see the same cycle repeating? And the harder question, are you ready to break it? Because here's the truth, you are not broken. You're simply following a pattern, and once you see it, you have the power to change it. If this episode spoke to you, consider subscribing and joining us for more. Next time, we'll dive into another hidden corner of the human mind, one that might just change the way you see yourself and the people around you. Until then, remember this. The cycle ends the moment you decide not to play the same role in it anymore.